Welcome, everyone, to Women's Motorsports Network Racing Girls Rock podcast. My guest today is Sara Schroeder. I'm excited for you to meet Sara and hear about Sara's story. She's had great success in motorsports, and so we wanted to have her on today to give her a little shout out and celebrate her successes. And so, Sara, welcome to the show. And why don't you start by just telling my listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Really happy to be here. Happy to have this conversation and finally get to talk face to face with you, Melinda. It's been a couple of years of being in contact, so this is great. Like she said, my name is Sara Schroeder. Sarah Libby. I raced as many years as that, but I got married in 2020 to my wonderful husband, Eric. We have two dogs who I think you can hear behind us.
It's okay.
Running around, but they'll be making their guest appearance. That's Coda and Wally, two corgis. One's 2 years old and one's 6 months old. So they keep us busy around here. My parents live close by, and my brother lives right down the street from me. So we're all pretty close. We're a pretty tight family unit. So that's always been great.
Yeah, absolutely. And racing just makes you that much closer, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We're definitely, the stereotypical racing family. We don't go on vacations with each other. We go to the racetrack every weekend. So
yeah,
that's where we spend most of our time together, and I wouldn't change it at all.
No, and I hear that so much, and it's the one thing about motorsports that people involved in other sports don't really understand.
Right.
I mean, yeah, your kid might play baseball and so many weeks in the summer or whatever, but even throughout the winter, there's banquets, there's just different things going on. And you do those things with your race family. And sometimes those people have become your best friends.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
then you do things outside of racing with them too. So I certainly understand that for sure, Sara. So go ahead.
I was going to say, my brother's closest friends are the ones that we've met at the track, and we're always staying busy, whether we're supporting different businesses that have supported us, or we're going to banquets, or building a new car, or just getting ready for the new season takes a lot of our time. So yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. So Sara, how did you get started in motorsports?
Yeah, so I started racing in 2012. I was 15. I was a freshman in high school, and I had been wanting to race, since I was little. I grew up watching my dad. My dad, Jeff Libby, he's been racing around Maine since 1980.
Yeah.
So he was always involved in something, whether it was drag racing, oval track racing, hill climbs, things like that, off and on from the 80s.
Yeah.
So growing up, I used to watch him at Beach Ridge Motor Speedway over in Scarborough, Maine. And he did that, for many, many years. And my brother got involved. My brother started racing go-karts when he was 8. Back in 1996, the same year that I was born. So I was always at one track or another growing up. So as soon as I could, my dad put me in a go-kart around the backyard, and that kind of progressed into, okay, I think it's time that we build a car and we get you onto the track. So we spent a year or two driving that. And at my home track at Beach Ridge, you have to have a learner's permit to enter into their rookie divisions. So I was kind of on the timeline of I needed to get my permit. So that's why I was 15.
Okay.
But I've been racing every season since then. I took one season off my senior year of high school after I graduated high school and was getting ready to go to college. That's the only season I took off.
Okay.
But I've been racing pretty much full time since then, besides the COVID years that kind of shut it down. So
we were all shut down, no matter what we did in motorsports. Yeah.
We did a couple of practice sessions at the track, but there was nobody else there, so it wasn't really a good season.
No, for sure not. So Sara, what is the most challenging thing that you've had to learn or overcome, either just in general or as being a woman in motorsports?
Yeah, and definitely I would think it's just the expectations of others. They kind of think, oh, maybe you're not going to do as well. The boys will probably go faster, or you're going to bring drama to to the division.
Yeah.
I work really hard to make sure that that's not the case.
Right.
I feel like I need to stay more level-headed than some of the other people, because I don't want that assumption of, oh, you're just being full of drama and you're bringing all this to the track, which it's not me. It's never been me. And just, trying to prove them wrong. I mean, every week that we go out there, we're working against those stereotypes, and it's not something that I let bother me, but it's something that's kind of always in the back of your mind. So I'm trying really hard to get the other girls on the track and board, and just try to show those boys what we've got.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's funny. I think it depends, like how competitive you are.
Mm-hmm.
And or maybe how much success you have. I think sometimes the more success you have, the more problems you might have on or off the track. And then I hear from girls who, don't. It's more the parents. Sometimes it's the parents if there's little kids involved.
Right.
And so it's a mixture of things. Of sometimes things girls say, "Oh, I've never had a problem." And other times, they do have problems. So anyway.
Yeah. And luckily I haven't had many problems with the guys, at least that I've raced with. They've been pretty good about it. Definitely other parents when I was younger were hard to deal with. Occasionally, like, oh, is this your first season? Well, no, I've been doing this for 8 years, or 8 or 10 years. So just because I'm a girl doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing. And that's, I think, the biggest challenge that we're up against. Yes, I do know what I'm doing, and you can trust me about that. So
right. So no, I get that. My granddaughters started racing when they were maybe 5 and 7 or something like that. And, they didn't really have any issues that I saw with, parents or little boys. But I just think that people have a conception in their mind that racing is a guy's sport, which I understand why. Right. But nowadays, I mean, the girls are so competitive. And so nowadays, I don't think that there's maybe as much of that, and yet you do see it, and it's frustrating to me, because you should just look at the driver, not look at whether it's a guy or a girl.
Yeah, I mean, look at the driver and look at their record. I think that's, if we're talking about the sport itself, that's what's going to speak the most. How you treat other drivers, how you act on the track, and what your record is.
For sure.
That's what I've spent a lot of my time. The other girls on the track, like, hey, listen, all you have going for you is your name and your reputation. So
sorry.
That's okay.
my dogs were getting a little too rough.
That's okay. I know how that goes.
And my other dog is 60 pounds and this one is 7. So I'm gonna hold him while I listen to you, Sarah. Sorry about that.
That's fine. But yeah, that's one thing that I definitely was trying to teach these girls this summer, is really, you've got your reputation behind you, and you really need to take care of that. These boys will try and drag that through the mud if they can, and we don't want that to happen. So we had a lot of pep talks like that at the track this summer.
And I'm friends with a young gal that races. Lots of young gals, but this one gal in particular, she's a very good racer, and she wins a lot. And the problem was that the guys were jealous and they were wrecking her.
Yep.
And the track did nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was obvious that it was on purpose.
Yep.
Week after week. And she finally said, I'm not going to race here anymore. I'll find somewhere else to go, even if I have to drive farther, because, you can't keep wrecking your equipment. And the thing about this gal, she's on her own, basically. She fixes her car. She does everything. Wow. She doesn't live anywhere close to her family. She moved in order to, race somewhere where they had more tracks than that. And so, and the fact that the track owner did nothing, he should be ashamed of himself for that. Even the guys that were wrecking her should be ashamed. But some of them don't have a brain in their head, I don't think.
And I mean, that's definitely something we deal with. You can get wrecked for no reason, and we might know the reason, but not everybody involved will know the reason. So
right.
I'm lucky that I race currently, not to switch gears, but I currently race at Riverside Speedway and Adventure Park up in Groveton, New Hampshire. And I can't say enough good things about those track owners, Stephanie and Mike Humphrey. They lived local to us here, and then they moved up to buy this racetrack up in northern New Hampshire. So we've known them for a long time, and they've made such a great environment up there, welcomed us with open arms, and they're really good about keeping their eyes out for things like that, and trying to settle that and making sure it's a safe place for everybody to race. So I'm really excited to be a part of that family up there now.
So does Scott Tapley work at Riverhead?
Who is it?
Scott Tapley? Is he like the promoter or the track manager or something?
He could be.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but
okay. So I listen to a podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I listen to a podcast called In the Pits.
Okay.
And it's based has a lot. It's in Maine. Yep. And it talks a lot about, not only the local drivers there, but Scott Tapley is one of the people on the podcast, and he is the promoter, the race director, or whatever at like 4 different tracks up there. And I'm pretty sure that's one of them. So
it very well could be. This past season was our first season up at Riverside.
Okay.
So I don't know all of the ins and outs of the track.
You're still learning everybody.
I am. So, but we definitely made ourselves known up there last year, my brother and I. So, yeah.
Okay, talk about that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So
share what happened up there this year.
Yeah. So my brother, in order to go back to Riverside, we have to kind of rewind. Back in 2021, our home track of Beach Ridge Motor Speedway was sold and shut down, which was devastating and still is devastating because that's where I grew up watching my dad and whatnot. So it kind of forced our hands to find a new home track. And there's not many in the Northeast that are close to us. So we're kind of limited, and we have experience at other tracks that we aren't necessarily a fan of. Just personally, they're great tracks, and we support them, but just it's not our favorite to race at. So because we knew the Humphreys, we made that trek up to Riverside. And my brother and I raced in, it was called their Maddox Mad Dogs V6 V8 entry level division last year, and had a lot of great success in that. My brother raced in the street stocks division. And my brother Todd Libby won all but I believe one race last season. He won the championship, and he won their hard charger award by charging from the back to the front every single week. So and then to make it even more special, I also won the championship last season. I won 6 races, 5 second places, and 1 5th place finish, and won the championship as well. So it was a really good season, and we definitely made our names known up there, and not necessarily made a whole bunch of friends by doing that, but we had a lot of fun and had a lot of support from the folks up there. So it was a great season.
It was a great season. And, the fact that you went up there first year racing at that track and the 2 of you won championships is impressive, first of all. But, how far away is that, Sarah, for you to go?
Yeah, so that's one of the issues. Not really an issue, but it's a little over 2 hours one way. So we spend a lot of our Saturdays traveling. So we leave our house here in Maine around 11 a.m. We get up there usually with, a bathroom break and a snack break. We'll get up there after 2, race all night, and we're usually not home till 1 or 2 a.m. So it's long days for us. We wouldn't change it for anything. I think that just speaks volumes to how that track is run, how the owners handle things, and the track itself. It's a 1/4 mile banked oval, and it's probably the most fun track I've ever driven on. It's just a great place to go, honestly.
Yeah. So that's why I wanted you to say about how far you, because I knew it was a little ways. Because I know a lot of people that drive 2-3 hours on a weekend to race. And the people where I live here in the Southeast Michigan, we have so many tracks close by us. So, I can drive for 15 or 20 minutes and be at 2 different tracks.
Yeah.
And I can drive an hour and be at 3 or 4 more, easily. Berlin is close, which is pretty well-known track.
Yeah.
And so it's, Michigan International is a couple hours from me. Not that we go there to race, but we're just spoiled. We're just downright spoiled here, that we don't have to drive far. We've got South Bend, which is probably a little over an hour, South Bend, Indiana. So I admire people that are so dedicated, because the price of gas, and all those things, doesn't make it cheap for you to go to the race, plus the racing costs. And so so I commend you for that. And you're hauling 2 cars, so you're probably driving 2 vehicles, I would guess.
So my family, we mostly have older vehicles. The truck that we used to haul my car is a 1980 something Chevy 1-ton, which does not get good gas mileage. And for anybody familiar with the Northeast, and excuse me, I'm fighting a cold too. So
that's okay.
For anybody fighting for anybody that's aware of the Northeast and New Hampshire, there's the White Mountain Range. So we have to drive up through Crawford Notch, which is a pretty steep hill and descent. And our truck struggles each week making it up there, but we're that's not going to stop us. So
no, it's not. No, I know it's not, because your family's passionate about motorsports. It's what you do as a family. Some families go camping, some families do other things. Your family's a race family, like so many others that I know. So what's your favorite thing about being a race car driver?
It's just, I have to say, it's just learning as much as I can, just talking to other drivers, just the community that it is, going to the next pit stall and, asking them, how's your car going? Like, what are your thoughts about the track today? And just, learning as much as I can, and learning from my family, learning from my dad, learning from my brother. That's how we spend our quality time together. My brother and my dad have taught me everything that I know. And to be able to then share that with the community up there and get more of that from the other people up there, I just think it's incredible. And I don't know many other sports that are like that. So many that are willing to drop everything, drop what they have, and help you. We had a couple of incidences on the track this summer, where crashes happen, and I got pulled off the track on a wrecker. I thought I was done, and the crews from around where we were parked got that car back together under caution, and I had people yelling at me through the safety personnel, like, get back in the car, you're going back out. And that wouldn't have happened without that connection and those people around us. And I think that's just incredible. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. Just, learning from them and just getting that in return is amazing.
And, they might be the people that are the most competitive with you on the track.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet when a racer needs help or has an issue or whatever, and everybody comes running, it just makes your heart just feel like so good.
It really does.
It really does. And you cannot explain that to somebody. You have to experience that for sure.
They don't have to do that. They don't have to get you back on the track. They don't have to help you. They're doing it because they love the sport and they want to put on a good show for the fans that drove out there. So just that community, and bottom line is just the best thing about the racing.
Absolutely.
So.
Now, what about your husband? Is he a racer? Does he like racing, or does he just get dragged along?
He just gets dragged along. He didn't know what he was getting into when he signed up for this. My husband and I have been dating since I started racing back in 2012 as freshmen in high school. So we started dating and right before I started racing. So he kind of knew what he was getting into, but I don't think he realized how deep this would run our lives and how much it dictates what we do each year. He is a football guy through and through. He's a local high school football coach for our varsity team. and he loves that. But he'll be the first to admit that he doesn't necessarily love racing. He likes it. He likes going and seeing us. And last year, he actually treated me to my first Daytona 500.
Oh, nice.
So he's getting it. He definitely is learning to like it a lot more than he did. But yeah, he's not the diehard racing fan that the rest of the family is.
So this past Sunday was your day to watch TV. This coming Sunday will be his day. And then from here on out, it'll be your day.
Yeah, for the most part. There's definitely multiple TVs in the house for that reason, for sports. But yeah, he doesn't fight me on that. He's recently picked his favorite driver, and he finds it fun to root against me. So
oh, all right. Well, tell me who your drivers are.
My driver is never used to be, but it is now Kyle Busch. I really like just his determination and just his never give up attitude. You can't deny that he's one of the best, even if you don't like him. So,
he's my favorite.
I know you would agree. And Eric, my dogs are at it. My husband Eric has recently become a Denny Hamlin fan, which is fine. We're both, Joe Gibbs, but now we have a little more of a rivalry going on in the house. So
absolutely. So it's funny, I have a lot of Kyle Busch shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was giving my granddaughters, both used to race, one still does. Both of their boyfriends race, so we're truly a racing family. Absolutely. And they were teasing me about what was I going to do with all that, and I said, "Oh, I'm just going to take duct tape and cover up the one, and then the 8 will still be there." And so we have family fun day on Sunday at my daughter's house, and so we usually watch racing when it's on, and so I'm going to have to find a shirt and duct tape the one and go wear it on Sunday sometime, but yeah, he gets a lot of press, not always good, and it's better than it used to be in the past. But I'm with you, and I think he's going to have a really good year, because I feel like it's kind of a reset.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the new year starts. If you haven't had a good year the year before, you take a deep breath and you say, okay, this is a new year. I can start fresh. And I think that's where he's at. And I'm looking forward to, he did well in the race on Sunday. I'm looking forward to him having success there.
I think it's going to be a really good year for him, and it's going to be really fun to watch that as a fan. I think that we had something similar when we had to switch tracks. It was kind of, we'd been there for, a decade or more, and just you get into the same things with the same drivers and the same thing. Mm-hmm. Getting out somewhere else and just being able to try something else and adapt is really been helpful for us. So I think he'll find that it is helpful for him. At least I hope so.
I agree. And, when I look back at them, they were going through the infertility. They were going through rough things in their life. Then they were going through the negotiations. And I think that's so distracting, for a driver and a family and everything. And so I think things are settling down for them to where he can really focus. And so I'm excited about the racing this year. I really am.
I am. It's definitely going to be a good year to be a fan of NASCAR. I think they're putting a lot of work into that.
They are.
And I'm excited to see what that result's going to be. So,
And he's actually, Berlin Raceway is about an hour, a little more from me. Jeff Striegel is the track manager or whatever, promoter, everything. He runs the track there. He is an announcer for MRN, Motorsports Racing Network. Okay. And he's done a lot to really elevate that track. It's always been a good track, but he's done even more. And so they're having one of the SRX races.
Oh, nice.
And they're having Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Haley Deegan. I can't remember who else. There's quite a number of the NASCAR people that are going to be racing there.
That's incredible.
So I bought my tickets. I'm ready to go. So
I know Kyle, not to turn this into a Kyle Busch show, but he did come up to Oxford Speedway, which is near us, about 45 minutes from us up here, and raced in the Oxford 250 quite a few years ago, and I believe won it. I don't remember for sure. He might not have. I'm not sure. But I would love to see him come back and run that I think it's a third of a mile oval again. That would be really fun. I'd definitely be there if he was, but
oh yeah, for sure.
I was too young when he did it the first time, so I'd like to see him come back to one of these Northeast tracks that really need that publicity and really need that
Absolutely.
attention. Yeah, these tracks are dying around us, and
I
we
know.
need to do a lot to support that. So,
and it isn't so much even that there's not enough drivers; it's the fans.
Yeah,
the car counts are pretty good. Even like at Kalamazoo, the car counts are pretty good, but there's not near the people in the stands. And Kyle Busch has been at Kalamazoo 2 or 3 different times. They have a big race the Wednesday before the race at Michigan, and then they don't race that weekend,
right?
So people can go. So he's been there 2 or 3 times, and I've been able to see him in that. But I just think that those fans have so many other things that can pull them away. That we have to find ways to bring them back, and for sure.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that my brother and I are really passionate about, is getting new fans to the track and just retaining the fans that used to be there. We've thrown out ideas in the past of, do we buy a 4-pack of tickets and raffle them off and bring them with us? And because our track is so far away from where we live, we're always offering to bring up people from our area with us. Last year I brought a couple of my friends who I happen to work with me to a race, and they're like, this is so cool, and we'll do this again next year. And I'm like, good, well, you've got a ride anytime you want it. So I think we as drivers really are the voices to keep the fans coming back. Without them, we can't do what we do.
No.
So you really need to spend your time promoting your local short tracks, and that's something that we've been really passionate about. So
yeah, absolutely. And when you go to the track, you need to, before you get there, you need to say, hey, I'm going to the track tonight. Would you come along? Once you get there, you need to show a TikTok, do a reel, do something to show the action. Still photos are great, but if they can see the action and they can hear the cars, that is more, people want to come and see what's that all about. And so, we as fans and as drivers, as teams, we really need to help our track owners get the people there.
They can't do it alone. They can only outreach to so many people. So if you take each driver and what their outreach can become, I think it's so much more. So
for sure.
We are the track promoters as much as we don't think that. So we really need to use our voices to just advocate for this sport that we love so much. I mean, when I'm at work, I'll have people like, oh yeah, like I'd love to watch you, but like, what's the point of racing? And I said, well, here's XYZ of, the science behind it and just the competition behind it. And you just need to learn more about it to understand that this is not like just some, oh yeah, we're driving in a circle. This is months, weeks of planning, and people just don't understand that. So that's where our voice is handy.
And when you think about it, think of the engineers that are working just on the NASCARs.
Yeah.
So and people who don't really follow the sport would have no idea. The other thing I love to do is I love to interview women who have interesting occupations in the world of motorsports. And I've learned so many things. Like recently I interviewed a gal who's the hair and makeup person for NASCAR for NBC and Fox. So she goes to the track every weekend, and I know there's more than her, and it was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that, And so there's so many opportunities.
I mean, NASCAR is just this huge corporation, and there's so many of quote unquote little guys that go unnoticed, and there's so much area for growth, and there's so much that they can offer. It's an incredible company, and there's a lot of stuff that it's got going for it.
It really does. And, I always say, if you can get somebody to a race once, they'll be a fan for life. And that's pretty much true. Pretty much.
For the most part, I would definitely agree. I mean, there's people that, especially up in the Northeast, Maine's vacation land or whatever you want to call it, people will say, oh, we used to vacation up there in July and we'd always come to the track and for that 1 week. So they've become fans and they're watching each week for results and stuff.
Yeah.
Even if they can't make it out in person every week, I mean, there's still a following across the country for a lot of these tracks, which is amazing.
It is. And so you mentioned Oxford. So Scott Tapley, I know, runs things at Oxford Speedway. And so, one of the things that some tracks, I think, were hesitant to be a part of Flow or different, streaming services because they thought that was going to hurt their attendance.
Right.
In my opinion, and I believe Scott kind of has the same opinion from listening to him on In the Pits, is that I now know about Oxford Speedway and the Oxford 250. I now know about Thunder Road.
Yep, in Vermont. Yeah.
Okay, so he works for Thunder Road. I would have never known about those tracks or really the Oxford 250 and what a big deal it was. So, my husband and I like to travel. I love going to races, tracks I haven't been to before. Maybe we'll make that a destination for a vacation.
Yeah.
Where if I hadn't heard either from the podcast or on, streaming services, I wouldn't even know about that track.
Right.
And so I think it brings people, everybody's looking to go somewhere fun and different. And if they love racing, it's like, oh, let's see what kind of, let's see what tracks are in this area and let's go. And so I love that part about not only the podcast, but the streaming services. And then you get to know other drivers as well.
Yeah. And it's not even there. We can bring people from across the country, but you can also bring people that are so close. I've never, and this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I've never been to a 250, an Oxford 250 in person, but we have a big streaming party at my house every year and we bring food and we make it like a Super Bowl party almost, if you want to compare. And we just get the family together and it's incredible what these streaming services can offer. Racing America does a great job with partnering with Oxford Speedway on that. So I commend that partnership right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sara, if you had a little girl come up to you and her and her mother, and they said, is motorsports a good sport for my daughter to get into? What would be your advice? What would you say to them?
I mean, absolutely, without hesitation. There's so much room for growth of character, growth of strength, just being able to become your own person, finding your dream, even if it's not in racing, but it gives you that confidence. You can't be a good race car driver without having the confidence behind yourself and your abilities. And I think that it's an incredible way to do that. And just there's so much camaraderie and community. You're never going to feel like you're alone. And if you do, all you have to do is walk to the next trailer. Put yourself out there and find those connections. I think it's incredible and valuable for anybody. Really, it's just amazing.
It is. And another thing I love about it, other than maybe golf or tennis, it's a sport that you can do all your life.
Oh, for sure. There's room for the little kids in like the learning divisions and going all the way up to the main racing legend, Mike Rowe, who, forgive me, I think he's in his 70s now, but he'll still make appearances at the track. And that's incredible. It really can span your lifetime.
Yeah.
My husband was an avid football player, but he played from when he was a little to the end of high school, and that was it. He tried to play in college, but just couldn't because of his injuries. So, but racing, I can do pretty much my whole life if I want to. But yeah.
And if you're not driving the car, let's say you are in your 70s, okay, you can do something else at the track that you've driven at. You can, there's so many things that you can do to give back to the track that's given to you. And so I just, I know that we're partial, Sara, to our sport, but I just don't think there's other sports that offer what motorsports does.
I really don't think so. I mean, we all have so much invested, so much time, so much energy, so much money invested into this. You really have to choose this or choose something else. It's very hard to split your time between other things. So I just think that we're in like all or nothing in this, and it's kind of it's unique to have a sport where everybody involved is, you know, all or nothing. People are putting weddings on hold, birthday
Yeah.
parties on hold,
Mm-hmm.
major events on hold. I mean, I scheduled my wedding around racing season.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. All
uh,
people did that all winter. Bubba Wallace
yeah,
did it. Todd
yeah,
Gilliland, who I know got married.
yeah.
Hannah Newhouse got married. All during the what we call off season, if you
Yeah,
will. And
we pushed it a little bit because our last race of the season was the week before we got married. So I kind of threatened the track operations guy. I said, if we rain out, you better not push it to next week or my brother
yeah,
won't be there. Um,
yeah,
and I wasn't going to make him choose. So he was going to go racing instead of my wedding if he had to.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. so, so Sarah, what about social media? How do you use it? Is it help you? Is it hurt you? What kinds of social media do you use to promote your racing and let people know what
yeah.
you're doing?
Yeah, for the racing, we pretty exclusively use Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at Libby Racing 80 on Instagram or by searching Libby Racing on Facebook. It's my brother and I. It's our family racing team. So it's not just me. You won't just find me on there. You'll also find my brother. I think the only downside is just the commitment to keeping it active. I'm notoriously bad about updating it every single week. I try my best, but you know, this is not my full-time job. I've got
Right.
a busy life outside of racing too. So I just think that the demands of that is the
Hmm.
challenging part. But we've got family and friends across the country that are looking for those updates on the weekends. So we feel the pressure
Yeah.
to get those out. If not Saturday night, then Sunday morning.
Yeah.
We try our best, but
Right.
yeah.
After you get home and get a few hours of sleep, right?
Yeah, it would be easier if I actually had cell service on our drive
Oh
to
yeah.
and from the track, but I don't, so I can't
No.
really update real time, unfortunately, but I try my best.
Yeah. But people want to know, and when they
Yeah,
follow you, and they can't be there,
yeah,
I use my race pass to follow my granddaughter when she races. If I can't be there, I
yeah,
rarely miss, but sometimes I go to another track, and
yeah,
so I
same.
have to keep track. So I love those options as well. My race pass is one of my favorites. It does a really nice job. And so we're lucky to have those options too to keep track of people.
Yeah, and I on kind of that same note, I don't think it's the same app, but the Race Monitor Time Trials app,
Yes,
it might be similar. We
very
might
similar.
have one. You can definitely follow us there too, weekly, by searching for the Riverside Speedway page.
Okay.
When I'm not at the track, because last year my brother and I were in separate divisions, so we didn't race the same nights every week.
Okay.
When I wasn't at the track, I would watch his time trials from home and
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, you're gaining on them," or "Oh man, why are you slowing down? What's going on?" And then I'd be calling
Right.
my dad, like, "What happened?"
I know. I know. That's
it,
true.
it's not the best overall picture, but at least it gives you the results real time. So
Exactly.
you can find us there
Exactly.
too.
Awesome. So we know how to find you. We know how to follow you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that
Um,
you'd like to share?
I'd just like to give a shout out to my sponsors while I
Oh,
have
for
us.
sure. Absolutely.
I have some of the best. Libby Service Center has been with me since I started in 2012. It is my dad's garage. But he donates his time, his energy, his money. The garage shuts down for racing because it's a two-man show. My dad and my uncle. So
Yeah.
they've been great supporters of us for this whole time. Keyser Falls Napa Auto is a sponsor since 2012 as well. They've been with me since the beginning, donating their support and their products to us. I also have 21st Century Motors, which joined me in my 2019 championship season at Beech Ridge. Johnny Wolf and Dan Wolf there have been incredible supports to us. I've learned so much from them. Also fellow racers. So we invited Dan up to our award ceremony this fall,
Oh,
which was
nice.
also they're amazing. Portland Gastroenterology Center joined me last year.
Nice.
Year season. That is the company that I work for. It's a physician-owned practice, so the doctors own and run that practice themselves, and they're absolutely absolutely incredible. I can't ask for better coworkers. They're always, if they're not finding me in the halls, asking me how things went, they're emailing me, asking me for race footage. They're always checking on me, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then Smoker's Den, Robin Wiley up at Smoker's Den last year came to me at the end of the season and said, I want to be on board. How can I help you? Let me get you through the end of this season. So she was an invaluable part of the end of last season as well. And we're hoping to join them full time this season. So that'll be a great partnership as well.
Yeah, you've got some great sponsors. And, even though some of them are family, they don't have to do that.
Yeah, they don't.
And so, we're seeing that ourselves here locally with my granddaughter. She's going to be 18. She's been racing for a long time. It's hard to get sponsors for a local short track.
It is
racer.
So even though I live in a small town, there are many racers in this community.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Sanborn, who is big in the late model circuit up here with the Pro All-Star Series, series. He's local to us. We've got Brenna Humphrey and Nettie Humphrey, who are 350 supermod drivers and late model drivers, also women. They're amazing. But they're in the community. Roger Edgecombe drives a dwarf car up here, also at Riverside. So even though I live in a really small town, there's a lot of racers. So finding the companies that aren't being spread too thin amongst all of us, it's kind of hard. I mean, my brother has gotten a hold of a lot of the businesses around here, so it'd be really hard for me to go up to them and ask for more. So I'm always on the lookout for more sponsors.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, we need to contact women-owned businesses.
Exactly.
Because they're missing out. Women-owned businesses or companies that are, have products for women, whatever it might be, like the grocery store. Oh my gosh, they should be sponsoring, the grocery store, and the hair salons and the tanning salons and all those, because that's where women, go, and you're a woman and they're going to see that promotion on their car. So I want to encourage women-owned businesses in your area to sponsor you and get on board, because even if you contacted the ones that are closer to the track where you race, I know it's hard to find those and get those relationships, but I think those are some ideas for gals who race away from home, but those are some people that would really benefit from having that advertising on those cars.
And that's half our battle too, is my sponsors are spread within like a 3-hour radius. My track is not close to where I live, and I don't live close to the track. So even though Portland Gastro sponsors me, that's like 3 hours away from the track. So it's not really the same outreach, but it's still outreach. Social media is there, and there's still opportunities there. And and the
people that know you and live around you see that they sponsor you, and that helps them.
Exactly.
That helps them for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Sara, I've really enjoyed finally getting a chance to talk to you in person.
I know, it's been a long time.
It has, and I followed you for, I want to say, like 3 or 4 years, if not more. So it's good. It's good to get together face to face finally. I appreciate that you're a woman in motorsports that is a role model for other girls, young girls, and that you represent the sport well. I appreciate that from you too, because not everyone does. And so thank you for that. Is there any last words that you would like to share?
I do have something. Coming into the 2023 season, we're making a big change. I am moving up from a stock entry level rookie division into the street stocks division next year. That is exciting, because I will, for the first time in my career, be racing against my brother.
That's going to be fun.
It is. My mom is very worried that it's going to cause some tension across the dinner table, but I love my big brother, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for him. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun learning from him on the track. The only argument we've had is over who can keep the number, because we share this.
Oh, okay.
For as long as we've been racing, we've both been number 80. And my brother didn't think it would be okay. He didn't like the idea of having two 80s on the track in such a small division. So we have made the decision that I will be changing my number. This is not public knowledge yet, but it will be. So I will be changing from number 80 to number 77, which is a good shout out to my dad. That was his number.
Okay.
He raced with. So I'm excited about that, as much as it hurts to give up 80.
Oh yeah.
Be supporting my dad with that this year. So
well, that's a good alternative for sure.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're interested just to see the sibling rivalry unfold this season,
oh yes,
follow us on social media, because I'm sure there'll be some.
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah.
I think I told you earlier, my granddaughter's boyfriends race, and so there's a lot of competition, and now my granddaughter and her boyfriend are going to be racing in the same division, and so it is tough, but there's nobody that would want her to win more than him.
Exactly.
He really does.
Nobody that's going to challenge her more than him as well.
Exactly.
My brother, I joked around my brother and said, hey, if there's one to go and I'm leading, are you going to let me have it? And he's like, absolutely not. I'm going to make you work for every inch. There's going to be no giving there, only taking. We're really going to push each other, I hope.
Yes, for sure. Well, Sara, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah.
I'll be following you this year, and hopefully I'll hear some comments on In the Pits. You'll have to check out that podcast.
I will, absolutely. I'll head right there after
it's about all of those tracks that you're talking about, and so you should listen to that.
I will do that.
And then I'll be following you, and if I can ever do anything to help you in any way, I'm always here for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I will let you know that the little bracelets that I received from you with an ambassador kit, those were handed out at the track last season.
Okay. So you need some more.
I would gladly take some more.
All right. I'll get some. Maybe you should text me your address and make sure I have the right address, and I'll send you some more things to hand out. How would that be?
Good. Yeah, the kids loved those after the podium finishes. So that was
awesome. Awesome. I would love to send you some things to hand out. So yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, Sara, take care. Have a good race season. And
thank you so much.
Hopefully maybe I'll see you at the track.
I hope to see you out here. Yeah, the Northeast will welcome you with open arms.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.